So Eren is on a rampage, and we finally get to see the rumbling in all its action and all the people that it's affected, with tragic deaths that really rocked the community. Today, we'll be looking at the latest episode of Attack on Titan's 1-hour special to break it down and compare it to its manga counterpart, which means there will be spoilers ahead. You have been warned. So this episode of Attack on Titan covered 4 chapters, from chapter 131 to 134. That's roughly about 179 pages, but we will exclude blank pages and random scribbles, so it will only be about 167 pages, and that's what I'm working with. Also, these chapters collectively has a whopping 769 panels. So let's see what's been adapted and what's been rumbled into the afterlife. My math may be off on this one, but if you didn't know, this is episode 88 of Attack on Titan, but episode 29 to 31 of the final arc. It's been split into a 1-hour special to accommodate not only the studio's time, but also to complete the manga, as there's only a few chapters left. In the last episode, we saw what led Eren to make his choices and to start the rumbling, and finally the rumbling making landfall, while at the same time the guys on the flying boat head out to get it repaired to catch up with Eren and stop him. For reference, we stopped at manga chapter 130 and we will continue from there. And pardon me if I sound a little bit groggy. I was sick for a bit and my throat hasn't recovered to all that, so I'll do my best to try and articulate what I'm saying more than sounding upbeat and spontaneous. So let's jump right into that. This episode starts out with a very symbolic scene of Mikasa reaching for Eren as he sleeps. If I went into depth about the gravity of this scene and broke it down, I fear I will be going into spoiler territory, so I'll skip that for now. But this scene has been replayed a few times and even has been done a few times before. You see, it harkens back to the first episode of Attack on Titan, with Eren's dream and Mikasa waking him. Just so you know, Mappa has redone this scene a few times, not only in the Attack on Titan final season opening, but here as well, and it's beautifully done. But it's not in the manga chapter. In the next scene, where manga chapter 131 titled The Rumbling would start, we head back to the Marley continent and meet up with a very familiar face from last episode. Seems Ramsey got his hand cut off for all the theft he's committed. We see how harsh they treat Eldians, so it's really no surprise that they would do this to foreigners as well. But this scene has a lot of symbolic meanings to the story. You see, the notion of save or saving and protection with the innocence of a child or children at a time of desperation in front of a tree has been foreshadowed a lot within the series. If we backtrack about 2,000 years ago, this very notion was seen presented before Ymir. But that might be something for another video, as if I go down this rabbit hole, I may never emerge again. The two boys then hear the screams of the people. They check it out to see what's going on, only to see the rumbling headed their way. The manga and anime pretty much follow the same path until Eren starts talking. Now I noticed that this panel in the manga wasn't skipped, but instead replaced with the statue of the hero Hellas over Eren narrating, but this scene is pretty much unchanged from what's in the manga. Each and every panel matches to the scene. However, I did notice that there were a few things that were a little bit different from how it was portrayed in the manga, but generally captured the essence of what Eren was trying to say. But I'll still add these 2 panels to the mix, as I saw nothing even remotely close to it. This scene pretty much follows the same as in the manga, with Eren finding Ramsey, getting pummeled, and then saving him, and then apologizing, with a few notable slight changes. Now after that flashback, we see the shocked face of Ramsey as he now knows the gravity of the situation. In the anime, we got this man screaming for Ramsey and Halil, but in the manga, he simply shouts for Ramsey. We skip the panel showing how close the boys were to their camp, and then we skip the next 2 panels and just show the villagers seeing the Titans coming over the mountains, showing just how grave and hopeless the situation has become. We now get a few added scenes of the Titan's foot as it steps, showing just how much heat they give off. This means that even if you don't get trampled, you'll be burnt to death. The anime and manga pretty much follow the same path. Now I'm really shocked they showed the death of the boys, as it was pretty gruesome, albeit the manga went the extra mile. The anime then added some scenes for us to show Eren's grandparents and some other people as they're getting trampled. And honestly, I really did like the addition of these anime exclusive shots, showing just how much chaos and death ensues. I really like how they added Eren's feet to the mix, showing his Titan's sheer scale. But this is where the anime exclusive scenes would have ended. But I think this scene was placed here in place of some other scenes that were excluded, albeit a bit further down in the episode, and I'll talk about that when the time comes. Jumping back into the mix, we skip this panel and go straight to Armin seeing Eren in the coordinate, and then his conversation with Annie. We do skip this panel of him getting shocked as Annie asks him to sit beside her and a close-up of his face. Their conversation pretty much mirrors what we saw in the manga until we get to this panel, when Armin says that he misses Annie. In the anime, he said he just wanted to see her, which I'll just add this panel because, you know, translation. But the anime and manga would pretty much follow the same path, showing Eren's head, although it's lit much better in the manga and we see his eyes are closed, but that was intentional. This would be the end of manga chapter 131. Coverage of this panel was a bit surprising to me, as there weren't much omissions of panels and overall only slight changes. Altogether, I could say about 98% of all the panels within this particular chapter were adapted. So let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 132, titled Wings of Freedom, starts out with the boat reaching its location and showing a wide shot of the city as Hange says that it's been deserted, but this isn't mirrored in the anime. Instead, we get a little montage of how empty the city is, and I contemplated about adding this scene to the not animated count, but I decided to let it slide for now. However, the next two panels of Hanji speaking to Lady Azumabito, where she asked them to save the motherland, are counted as unique and not adapted, as this isn't mirrored in the anime. It also skips the page, which contains about 3 panels of the guys hauling the plane into the hangar. Instead, we get a wide shot of it already being there. In the next page, we will get a panel showing the boat once more, and we would jump to Falco screaming as he comes to the realization that everyone is dead or dying. And we follow the same path, apart from some dialogue changes with Annie and Mikasa finally having their heart-to-heart. In the next scene, we do get to see Levi struggling out of bed simply because he doesn't want to be forgotten. And then in the manga, we get 2 added panels of Peak showing up to help with interrogations of Yelena that weren't adapted. But it seems that Yelena is much more cooperative this time around. Their conversation pretty much follows the same path as in the manga until we head over to the airship being fixed. The anime did give us a few additional scenes. Peak then decides it's time to repay her fallen comrades and the team suits up. Our young warriors then have a real heart-to-heart before Annie leaves. But they aren't the only ones. Hanji and Levi have their moment where she asks him if he thinks the others are watching them before we head back into the hangar to see that Flock is still freaking alive. Apparently he held on to the boat as it crossed the sea, which is the most unbelievable thing I've seen this entire series. He shoots the tank full of holes and then is killed by Mikasa. This will definitely put a dent in their plans and delay the plane, but something worse is on the horizon. The rumbling has caught up and they don't have enough time anymore. But wouldn't you know it, Hanji would volunteer to slow the rumbling while leaving Armin in charge. We pretty much follow the same path except for a few panels that were rearranged for a more cinematic effect. The anime gave us a really beautiful scene of Hanji being a truly magnificent hero and sends her off into the afterlife in a blazing glory. She accomplished her mission and the plane with everyone else had made it out. This would be the end of the episode's first part, but also the end of the manga chapter. It ends with Hanji being reunited with her fallen comrades. Way to go. Chapter 133, titled Sinners, starts out with our team with saddened faces. A hero has fallen, but we still need to push on, says Armin as he draws up a plan to stop Eren. Sure, Armin's colossal titan could do it, but he wants to try and talk things out first. Then again, we could also kill Zeke, but to do that, the headstrong Levi asks for help to take down the monkey. The anime and manga pretty much follow the same path, with the team having a heart-to-heart and discussing why Eren hasn't stopped them yet. He then summons them to the coordinates to have a little chat, and after the guys shout to the heavens as if they're talking to God himself, Eren tells them that he won't stop the rumbling, and this is Judgment Day, bitches, come at me. Now the only panel I found missing was here of a close-up shot of their faces before the wider shot, which again, I'm shocked how little this episode had deviated from the manga so far, but at the same time, I'm happy knowing that the community will have an overwhelming love for it due to this very fact. But anyways, we sail on ahead with Miss Azumabito talking to Annie, and the scene pretty much marries the same as in the manga, except when it gets to this part. Along with a few added scenes by the anime, this panel was switched around a bit more to accommodate Annie's reaction, again to set the mood. We then skip a few panels of her memories before she responds, and this would be about 1 page containing 6 panels, before Falco and Gabby interrupt, telling Annie his dreams and their theories they came up with. Now in the anime, we move along to the trade. However, in the manga, we still do continue with a few more panels of the most skipped content so far. But basically, it's more discussion between Annie and the kids about Falco's Titan form. However, as to not reveal spoilers, I'll skip this and leave it for the next episode. So I'll leave those blurred out and move on to the train scene. Here we find out that Annie's dad actually overthrew the guards from the last episode, and now he's hijacked the train, heading exactly to where Eren will attack, in an attempt to capture an airship to escape. But on their way, they find out that the airships are taking flight. We do skip one panel where this one guy was saying that it's too late, but then we see the rumbling headed their way, as well as the airships heading to the direction of the Titans. Now, this part is a little confusing, so listen carefully, as there wasn't just some panel rearranging, but some sceneries were changed as well. So right after they notice the rumbling is here, we get Mr. Leonhardt commenting on the speed of the train, which was missing from the anime. Then the conductor says that the airships are on a bomb run to the Titans, and it might just save everyone. This would be where the chapter ends. In the next chapter, 134, titled In the Depths of Despair, it starts out with Historia having her baby, but these panels weren't in the anime. And then we skip over another scene that wasn't adapted in the anime. I literally counted 17 missing panels before heading back to see the train as them disembarking to watch the bombardment. Earlier in this comparison, I did say that there were a few scenes added that weren't in the manga of the rumbling. This would have been of people being crushed or something. Now, I did say that they did include a lot more anime exclusive scenes for that because I believe that they are making up for these scenes that are missing. Within the manga panels, we actually get a little bit more gore and death. Now, I do believe that these should have been added to the anime, as it would have increased the overall scale of the rumbling. The manga does do a far better job in scaling how devastating the rumbling is and how much impact it has on the world and people alike. But in the anime, it seems a little bit more contained to the people of Marley. But that's not exactly true. You see, the rumbling is going all over the world. The only difference is Eren is right here. This is where he chose to attack. But anyways, let's move on from that a little bit. We head back to the train to watch them disembark, to watch the bombing of course. In the anime, things are changed up a lot. Right after they notice the Titans are closing in, we skip all the way to them disembarking. This is where the conductor would have noticed that this is a bombardment run of the airships, and now the attack on Eren begins, and we get one of the greatest scenes ever. I did notice that a few panels here were missing. Within the anime, the Beast Titan did 2 throws before the ships were all destroyed, but in the manga, he did 3 throws, resulting in about 5 missing panels. The anime and manga would pretty much follow the same path up until Mr. Leonhardt says that Annie and Reiner are alive on Paradise. We see 3 panels missing here of him saying that they will live out their lives, and Miss Braun saying that that's good enough for her. Another 2 panels I noticed that were missing is of Eren looming down on the group. Instead, it cuts right to the girl impossibly seeing the airplane coming. On the entrance of the plane, Onyankopon says that he sees him and everyone is to get ready to jump. This was an anime exclusive scene, but it was the dialogue of this particular panel that was moved around a little bit. In the manga, it's right in your face, while in the anime, it was after they told him to jump with them that we hear him say this. And right after they jump, we do see Peak lugging the explosives, but this was also omitted from the anime. What we do get is an awesome scene of the guys dodging projectiles and Reiner taking on the Beast Titan. Another additional scene is that of Onyankopon flying clear of Eren. This is where the episode and the chapter would end with Armin monologuing. A pretty beefy episode. It had all the right story beats going for it, and definitely I could see this going down as one of the best episodes of Attack on Titan that Mappa has done so far. There were a few scenes that I would have liked to have seen being included within this episode to show the real scale of the rumbling, and that it's not just affecting Marleyans but the entire world. And with the additional panels in the manga missing of others around the world being trampled, I think this episode reduced the scale. Historia being omitted didn't really come as a surprise to me, but all in all, the major scenes such as Falco's discussion and other missing panels could easily be adapted in the next episode without missing a single beat. For me, this episode of Attack on Titan got an easy 8, but then I bumped it up to 9, seeing that they made some really great OST choices and really honoring the characters that came before. This episode also did a really good job of showing us the weight placed on everyone's shoulders and what they must do to survive, not only for themselves but to build a future in which the world survives as well. But anyways, let's look at the numbers and see how much of the manga was adapted. Attack on Titan, the final season, special episode 1, covered 4 manga chapters, with each having an average of about 42 pages, all adding up to 167 pages, minusing random illustrations and blanks. Each page would have an average of around 192 panels, all adding up to 769 panels, with 68 of those panels being unique or not adapted, which means only 701 panels were adapted to give us a split of roughly about 91.16% to 8.84%. All this means is that more than than 90% across 4 chapters were adapted in this episode, and I can see that it would make everyone really super happy. At the end of the day, it was a pretty great episode. I keep saying this, and I'm really glad they released it like this. It really gives me enough time to come up with a video instead of being overwhelmed with covering multiple anime at a time. As you guys know, I'm diving heavy into Demon Slayer, and with Attack on Titan, if it was airing at the time, I would have never been able to cover both at the same time. But March is a very special month for me. It's the birthday of the channel. As such, I will be giving you guys even more videos, 2 videos a week, and then maybe at the end of the month for the final week of March, you'll get a video every single day. So look out for that. Anyways, I really hope that you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like on your way out and tell me what you thought about this episode and any other theories that you might have for the final episode. I really love those discussions and I answer 99% of all comments. I've been your host, Kyle. Peace out and stay safe out there, V Nation. Bye.